They called her a liar, a fraud, a woman who built her fame on deception. But tonight, Wendy Osefo is fighting back, not with lawyers, not with silence, but with truth. Because for the first time, she's revealing what really happened behind those mansion doors. According to Wendy, the story everyone believed was a lie carefully crafted by her own husband, Edward Osefo, the insurance fraud that destroyed her career. She says it wasn't her doing at all. Edward told her to sign the papers, told her their valuables were stolen, told her everything would be fine. But while she faced the headlines and handcuffs, he was cashing out. Now Wendy claims Edward didn't just betray her, he framed her. And the part that sent shockwaves through everyone, she says he wasn't working alone. There was someone else helping him the entire time. It all started months before Wendy Osefo's name became a headline for fraud and scandal. Behind the camera lights and perfect reality TV smiles, something in her marriage had already cracked. Friends close to her say the first signs were subtle missed calls, secretive messages, and Edward's sudden obsession with protecting their assets. Wendy once told a close friend, "He said we needed to update our insurance files. I didn't think much of it at that time." She trusted him completely. Edward handled their finances, the paperwork, even the storage units where their valuables were kept. But then came the night everything changed. Edward came home looking frantic. He told Wendy their house had been broken into, that jewelry, bags, and even private documents were gone. She remembers his words clearly. "Don't panic, babe. I already called the insurance company. We'll get through this." Within days, Edward had Wendy signing documents, insurance forms, claim papers, and what he called proof of ownership. Wendy says she didn't even read them fully. "He said he needed my signature to protect us," she recalled later through tears. "So I signed." The payout came faster than expected, over 6 figures. But what Wendy didn't know was that the so-called stolen items had never left Edward's hands. Because months later, investigators discovered the same luxury jewelry and handbags tucked away in a storage unit rented in Edward's name. The moment the news broke, social media went wild. Fans were divided, some calling Wendy a hypocrite hiding behind her PhD, others defending her, saying she was being targeted because of her success. But in private, Wendy's world was falling apart. Insiders revealed that Edward wasn't just silent, he was cold. When investigators questioned him, his answers were detached, rehearsed, almost as if he'd prepared for this. And then came the whisper that changed everything, that Edward had a connection to Monique Samuels, the very person Wendy had clashed with for years on The Real Housewives of POC. A leaked message surfaced between Edward and an unknown number saved as M. The text read, "Once she signs everything, it's done. You're in the clear." Wendy's fans instantly started speculating. Was that M. Monique? Wendy went silent for weeks. She didn't appear online, didn't release a statement, didn't even respond to Bravo's producers asking for her side of the story. Then, out of nowhere, an audio leaked, a shaky voice note where Wendy could be heard sobbing, saying, "I trusted him. I signed everything because I thought we were a team. He sold me out." Court documents later revealed that Edward had quietly transferred thousands into offshore accounts, the same ones tied to the fraudulent insurance claim. Every trail led back to him. But since Wendy's signature was on every form, she took the fall. One fan wrote on X, "She built her brand on education, truth, and integrity. And now this, either she's a mastermind or a victim." Another replied, "I think Edward set her up. Look at his eyes in the court footage. Man looks calm while she's breaking down." And break down she did. During her last public appearance before the trial, Wendy was visibly trembling, voice cracking as she told reporters, "I never touched that money. I never hid anything. The man I loved made me believe a lie. The betrayal wasn't just legal. It was personal." Friends say Wendy discovered that Edward had been in contact with one of her old rivals for months. And the night before the court hearing, she allegedly confronted him in private, screaming, "You used me as a pawn for your mess." Witnesses say Edward didn't even deny it. He just stood there silent with that same cold look that had started it all. And that's when Wendy made her choice. She would speak, not to save her image, not for the cameras, but to expose the man who destroyed her life and the secret alliance that helped him do it. Because, as she said in that final leaked message, "He wanted me to drown in the scandal. But he doesn't know I'm taking everyone down with me." When Wendy finally broke her silence, the internet erupted. She went live for just 7 minutes, but those 7 minutes changed everything. Her eyes were swollen, her voice unsteady, and the first words she spoke froze everyone watching. "I didn't lie, I was lied to." Within hours, hashtags like #Justice for Wendy and #EdwardX exposed began trending. Fans flooded social media with old clips of her defending her husband, calling it proof she was blinded by love. But the real bombshell dropped when a leaked voicemail surfaced, allegedly from Edward to a close friend. In the clip, Edward can be heard laughing, saying, "Wendy's too emotional to read fine print. That's why I had her sign everything. If someone's going down, it won't be me." The internet went insane. People couldn't believe it. The same Edward who once called Wendy his backbone on national TV was now mocking her downfall. And it didn't stop there. A former friend of the couple identified only as T came forward claiming she witnessed Edward meeting Monique at a private lounge weeks before the fraud claim. T said they weren't talking like enemies. They were talking like business partners. Then came another twist: leaked DMs between Monique and Edward, with one chilling message from Edward reading, "She'll sign anything if I say it's for our future. Don't worry. Once she's out of the picture, we're both clear." Wendy's supporters were in disbelief. Some cried on live streams, others demanded Edward be arrested immediately. But amid all the chaos, Wendy remained eerily calm. She posted one statement: short, cold, and cutting. "I was loyal. They were strategic. Let's see who crumbles first." Insiders say producers from The Real Housewives of PTV tried to reach her for an emergency filming session, hoping to capture her reaction on camera, but she refused. Instead, she disappeared from the public eye again. Meanwhile, legal insiders began whispering that prosecutors were re-examining Edward's offshore accounts that matched the very locations Wendy had exposed in her previous testimony. And then came the chilling rumor. Edward was allegedly planning to flee the country. An anonymous Reddit post appeared with the title "Edward's Escape Plan," claiming someone had seen him meeting with a financial broker at De La So's airport 2 nights before his court date. The internet waited for confirmation. Was he really running? And just when everyone thought the story had reached its end, Wendy's attorney dropped a cryptic line outside the courthouse. "My client has turned over something that will change everything you think you know about this case." The crowd gasped, cameras flashing, fans screaming for answers. What did Wendy give them? Was it proof Edward and Monique planned at all? Or something even darker? Something that could destroy both of them? Whatever it was, one thing was clear. This wasn't just a scandal anymore. When Edward finally spoke, it wasn't through an interview or a press statement. It was a shaky phone call recorded from what sounded like a hotel room. His voice cracked as he said, "They think I did this alone." But she knew. She always knew. Within minutes, that recording went viral. But Wendy didn't flinch. She waited. And then, in a move no one saw coming, she released her own recording. The audio began with Edward's laughter. You could hear glasses clinking in the background, and then his voice low, smug, confident. "Once she signs, it's over. I'll report it stolen, collect the check, and she'll never see it coming." The world stopped. It was the proof everyone had been waiting for. The betrayal wasn't rumor anymore. It was real, recorded, undeniable. Fans flooded timelines with one word: justice. But Wendy didn't celebrate. She didn't post. She just wrote one haunting caption under a black screen. "He used love as a weapon and I let him." The comment section exploded. Thousands of women sharing their own stories, saying Wendy's pain was theirs too. And yet there was something darker in her tone. It wasn't relief. It was vengeance. Then came the real twist. The document leak. Someone anonymously uploaded files showing that the insurance money wasn't the only thing Edward had stolen. There were offshore accounts not just in his name but one labeled MO Holdings. Monique's initials. The dots connected. Wendy's suspicion had been right all along. And Monique hadn't just known she was in on it. The lavish gifts, the sudden rise in her lifestyle, the trips she said were brand deals. It was Edward's money. Wendy's money. When reporters caught Monique leaving her house, she said only one sentence before slamming her car door. Wendy's playing victim because she lost control. But control was exactly what Wendy had reclaimed. She filed a civil suit not just against Edward but Monique too, the same woman she once called a friend. And as the legal papers hit the press, Wendy gave her final statement to a journalist. He thought I'd stay quiet to protect my marriage. He forgot. I'm protecting my name. Her words echoed across every major outlet. It wasn't just about fraud anymore. It was about betrayal, deep, personal, and public. Days later, Edward disappeared. His phone disconnected. His accounts frozen. Rumors said he fled to the Caribbean. Others claimed he was still in D.C., hiding in plain sight. No one knew for sure. But one thing was certain, the story wasn't over because late one night, Wendy posted a voice memo on her Instagram story. No caption, no explanation, just a voice faint, distorted whispering. You think you won, Wendy, but you don't know what's coming. And then silence. Fans replayed it for hours, analyzing every background noise, every syllable. Was it Edward's voice or someone else's, someone trying to warn her? The mystery deepened. The pain was still raw. And as Wendy's final words echoed in her last interview, cold, broken but fearless, they felt like a promise. They took everything from me. But the difference between me and them is I have nothing left to lose. And with that, the screen fades to black, leaving the world wondering what Wendy will expose next, and whether Edward will ever face the truth he created himself. Edward's voice may have disappeared, but the echoes of his betrayal are still everywhere. Wendy's final words, "I have nothing left to lose," weren't just a statement. They were a warning. She's not done talking. Not after the leaked audio, not after the offshore accounts, and definitely not after Monique's name surfaced in the files. But here's the question that's haunting everyone. If Edward really vanished, who left that last voice message on Wendy's phone? Was it him or someone protecting the secret he died trying to keep? Because whispers are spreading that there's another recording. One that could destroy not just Edward but everyone connected to this fraud. If you want to hear that leaked call, comment for the next video. This isn't the end of Wendy's story. It's the beginning of the revenge.